Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to tell you about one of the most dangerous things I have ever done, and I definitely could have died. Don't worry though, it's nothing too scary. It ends up being pretty funny, although it was quite scary to hear my parents. But, anyways, it is also a good word of warning to others. So basically, I touched on this story yesterday, but we have two cars. One's a pretty good car, the other's a older car, so not as good. Now, our older car's headlights are not the best. They still work. Key point to keep in mind: they work. I did not know this, but they work. I repeated this 3 times. It'll be important. It works, but they're not good, and I had no idea. So I needed to go somewhere yesterday. I think there's a like 6 or something. I needed to go somewhere, so I drove this older car. It was a 2004 car. I forgot exactly what it was, but I needed to drive this old car. And before leaving, my dad was like, "Oh, make sure be careful. If you need to, you can turn on the high beams while driving because the headlights are not that good, right?" And so I'm like, okay, I'll switch on and off. If I really need to, I'll turn on the high beams, right? So I started driving there, and at this point, it was only like what 6 p.m. I think. So it wasn't too dark out, but it was a tiny bit dark. Like you had to use your headlights. And so on the turn signal lever or lever or whatever people like to call it, on the turn signal lever, there's this little knob, right? And what I thought the knob did was if you turn the knob, then it turned your headlights on. And there were like 2 settings on this knob. You can turn it halfway and you could turn it fully, right? And when I turned it halfway, the lights on my dashboard lit up. So I'm like, oh, okay. This seems like the right thing. And I thought my headlights were on. And when I turned it fully, like there were lights in front of me. And I thought those were my high beams. Because the thing is, when I turn on my the first setting, the halfway knob is only to light up your like dashboard, your display. It like adds fancy lights to your speedometer and stuff like that, odometer or whatever. And that's all it's for. And I had no idea. I thought the headlights were broken. That's why when I turned it, like there were no lights that lit up in front of me. And I thought that when I turned it fully, those were the full beams, like the high beams. And those are the big lights. And I thought the regular lights were broken. And so, driving there, it wasn't too dark. So whenever there was a car across from me, I would turn it back to the low beam setting, or what I thought was the low beam setting. And when the car was gone, I turned it back to the high beam setting, or what I thought was a high beam setting. Now, since I've said this so many times, you guys should know that what I thought was the low beam settings was actually the no beam settings. Meaning, when I turned it halfway, it was only to light up the dashboard, and it did not light up a single thing on my car's headlights. And so, at the time, it wasn't too big of an issue, right? Because it was still somewhat bright outside. People could still see. And so it was fine. But I get there safely. Everything's fine. And I spend an hour at where I'm supposed to be. And then comes 7 o'clock. I'm driving home. And it's absolute pitch black outside. Okay? I cannot see a thing in front of me. And so I'm driving with this car. And I turn to low beams, right? Or, okay, when I say low beams, I mean like the half setting on the knob. What I think is the low beams. And I'm like, is this right? This is probably right. Because my dad said the low beams were not that well, so they're probably completely broken. So I didn't really think much of it. And so, where am I supposed to? Oh, I've been going the wrong way. And so, oops. Basically, I'm driving back on low beams because I don't want to like turn on high beams and have people honk on me for like not turning it, because if you have high beams directed at other people, it like blinds them temporarily, so that's not good. So I didn't want to do that. I want to be nice, you know, because I'm a nice person. And so instead of leaving it on what I thought was high beams, which is just the regular headlights, what I did was I basically flipped back and forth. Whenever a car came, I turned it to low beams or no headlights. And whenever a car left, I turned it back to regular headlights. And so while I was driving back, there were cars flashing their headlights at me, like telling me to turn my headlights on. And I'm like, why are you guys flashing at me? I'm on my low beams. Because I thought the middle setting was my low beams. And so, yeah, it was super dark. Like, driving with no headlights at night is super duper dangerous. Because you cannot see anything in front of you. Like, I was almost driving blind. Like, if there had been a person in front of me, I would have definitely crashed into them. Or, like, another car. So yeah. And so when I got home, I had no idea anything was wrong. Because I was like, oh, probably the headlights are broken. It's fine. They'll get it fixed. I had no idea how dangerous what I had just done was. Like, because I thought I had been using my headlights. They were just very, very weak. But, so during dinner, after, it was actually recording my last Schnucka 2 video, I complained to my parents. I'm like, oh yeah, today I was driving and the headlights were like basically broken. They didn't work at all. And my dad was like, huh? I think they work a tiny bit. Wait, show me. And so it's like 11 o'clock by this point. We get into the car and I show him. I'm like, look, when I turn the knob and I turn this knob to the high beams, it doesn't work. See, it doesn't light up. And my dad was like, oh no. Because what I had done was I had turned it to the low beam setting. And he's like, oh no, that is not the high beams. And he showed me how to do it. You actually have to like push the turn stick back into the driving thing in order for the high beams to light up. And I'm like, uh-oh. And then he was like, do you know how dangerous that could have been? You could have definitely crashed and stuff like that. And yeah, it made me kind of scared. Because honestly, looking back on it, it was very dangerous. To drive at night without headlights is like, well, number one, it's definitely illegal. Well, okay, I'm not incriminating myself here because I didn't know at the time. I thought I was driving with headlights, you know? But it's also just like extremely, extremely dangerous overall. And so, yeah. Whenever you guys drive, when you drive, or if you are driving, make sure you actually have your headlights and high beams turned on when you're supposed to. Like, don't just assume that, oh, I flicked this lever, I turned this knob, oh, my dashboard lit up, so my headlights must be lighting up too. Make sure you actually know your car's controls before you drive it. So that's the lesson to take away from today's story. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I have no idea how long this video was, by the way. Oh, man. I was really productive today, too, so that's good. Or somewhat productive, at least. Make sure to leave a like on the video if you liked it. Subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to my main channel, Schnackaroo. Discord, join it. It's all in the description. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye!